Hey, what's good, y'all? So, I slid to the museum a few hours before the show just cause gotta get the pressure off a little bit, but also to see this exhibit that the Art Institute in Chicago had running called Project A Black Planet. Anytime I come to the museum though, I have specific pieces that I see every time, and I've been seeing those same pieces for like the last 9 years. But I also try to go to museums more than once just to photograph and get footage of the black pieces that they have, pieces that are made by like black people. I got a feeling that they're gonna start putting that stuff back in the basement soon. So usually when I get to the museum, I go to see the modern art, and I see the couple Rene Magritte that they got up in there. He's probably the most influential artist. I know I said Agnes Martin, but his work is the most influential on my creativity as a whole. And most of the creativity I do is like photography. Like the way that he spaced everything out, used the sky, I still utilize those methods in my own photography to this day. But like also on this floor, they have this artist, Wilfredo Lamb. He was an Afro-Cuban painter. His work was very reminiscent of the Cubist style that was going on at the time. His work was very inspired by the mystical things like voodoo rituals, and his work looks a little sinister. Well, not sinister, that's a cruel word, but it got like a little mysteriousness, a mystery to it. Like I always try to figure out, what am I looking at? Like, am I looking at deer? Am I looking at entities? It looked like something out of a nightmare. And you know, good art is kind of disturbing sometimes. But also when I'm in the museum, I go around looking for stuff that was inspired by Africa. Like if you look at this piece right here, you could tell the painter seen the African mask and decided to make something based off of it. It's funny because we still talking about appropriation to this day. They've been doing it for a minute. Like this piece right here, I've seen it in 5 different mediums. I've seen a gold one as well. Once you see the title, it's called The White Negress. Appropriation is never ending. Like here's the biggest, maybe the appropriator of all time. I'm a Picasso hater, I'll just let y'all know. But anytime I slide in there, I have to see his work because I need to understand what was so fascinating about it at the time. It just reminds me of how like year in, year out, like the black image, the black whatever, is just like co-opted and absorbed into mainstream media. It felt like kind of the way with the Ayeee chats. We don't call it that, but in our music, it's just a never-ending, just taken from the source. Like Africa has always been a source. Like 100 years ago with the Art Deco movement, they was inspired by Egyptian things that they saw. Like Africa has always been a source. Like look at this. Picasso himself said he wasn't inspired by African masks, but like look at this, bro. All you have to do is give credit. But he a monster. I don't rock with him. He evil as hell. And it's like all talented people be evil as hell in history for some reason. Like that's why I can't believe you can't separate the art and the artist. His work brought a lot of suffering on people, and I can't get behind that. But anyway, coming into the neoplasticism part of the museum, anytime I go in this spot, it's always empty because people just don't see it. I see the vision. You can see the vision in my work, but like also this was going on at the same time as Picasso was like hot, so to see the drastic differences in what was considered art at the time is pretty, I think it's pretty motivational for real. Like I love suprematism. I love the black square, I love the white square, I just love the simple stuff. Like that stuff was very motivational when I seen it in them art books at first, because like a lot of people just skip past this and they don't get it. They don't feel it, but I feel it. Less is more to me sometimes. So I go up to the other part of the museum that has the work from like 1930. It's like the abstract expressionism room, but I didn't really focus on that because they don't have that many black abstract artists in the main exhibit. I know there used to be an Alma Thomas piece, but they have this Ed Clark piece. He's an artist from Chicago. He was like big in the 70s abstract art movement for black artists. So Andy Warhol is an interesting artist to me because I used to be a big fan until I watched that doc on Netflix and saw what he was calling Basquiat, bro. Like, I wanted to beat him up for real. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I couldn't rock with him ever since then. But now I'm looking at it, you could just tell he's one of those people that wanted to exploit what was black and hot at the time. A real goofy, certified goofy. Like, I'm not a fan, I'm not a stan. This piece right here really felt like I was looking at a lynching postcard. Even though that's not what was going on, but it's just like seeing this type of composition and them color schemes just always remind me of like those pictures from the text. It's just like an internal PTSD. But anyway, I go across the museum. I have to go see some of the early black masters, I like to call them, like the OG black artists that was holding it down for us, like before the 60s. Not them. I'm anti-American Gothic. Underwhelming. But now they had a Jacob Lawrence up in I feel like this museum need a little bit way more than just one Jacob Lawrence in like, why do we only have one? But they also had a Archibald Motley Jr. painting, real black Art Deco, Harlem Renaissance vibes. They always forget Chicago when they talk about the Harlem Renaissance. It was like a movement that was spanning the whole country and not just in New York. But, you know, let history tell it, because New York is the center of the world, unfortunately. This is a black master right here. Look at that movement, Art Deco. I love some Art Deco. They had another black master in there too. They had the Augusta Savage. Like, look at how the statues got that, like, it got the little fluidity to it. Like, you see that movement, like, you could just look at black art and tell that a black person made it. Like, you can't fake that. Like, look at the hip movement. Look how he dipping. It was just something about jazz that had everybody just wanting to get active and just excited for the future. I wish we could get back to that on our artistic side. Everything is just trying to be sold right now. So they had the first ever Norman Lewis piece that I had seen in my life. I think I seen this one for the first time in 2018. And I have a photo of it in my phone, but I didn't know that he was black. But here's Huey Lee Smith, another artist that impacted my photography aesthetic. Most of his art like depicts like a desolation that you feel like being a black American in a northern city. So sometimes it's just you. So I finally go to the exhibit, Project A Black Planet. It was kind of similar to the exhibit, the Transatlantic exhibit that they had at the Met, I think, earlier last year. And they had a lot of pieces that I've seen in black art books. I wasn't aware of the scale, the colors and everything. So seeing it was like, I'm not gonna say like seeing heaven, but you know, I saw the light. These murals were pretty interesting because it was like depicting the history of black art, and they left out women, and this was made in the 50s. So I feel like that's kind of backwards. Black artists and black scholars at the time was still on that patriarchy. This was a reproduction though. It still looked good. Like, I couldn't imagine like seeing this in 1950s. It's just something about everything being black and white and then like seeing the actual colors of it. What was people's perspective of it at that time? Because it wasn't like always simulated images in front of them every day. They had a couple pieces that were inspired by the American flag. I don't really like art that puts an emphasis on the American flag. Like, I thought it was interesting with the Kendrick thing for the Super Bowl and the Cowboy Carter. But like, I get that we built this country too, but it's like, I don't be seeing the vision, but I see it at the same time. Like, especially in Beyonce's case, because the South has different traditions. Specifically being from Texas, Juneteenth, you know, it's like a history with that. Shout out to Toussaint for real. Free Haiti, bro, to this day. They still is raiding their pockets over something that happened 200 years ago. I thought everybody believed in liberty and freedom. They was capping. That's only for them, not for us. I went to the museum on the day of a field trip, so it was like a lot of kids in here. They was having a ball. So I wish you could like get kids' perspective on art, specifically art that's centering historical events like black history. And I just wonder what they think about the stuff that they were seeing, or if it was like their first time seeing stuff like that. 100 years ago, black art was real focused on Egypt and Ethiopia. It gave black Americans something to be proud of. Like, the homeland was powerful. In Ethiopia's instance, they had never been colonized. So it was just like a sense of pride. And like the Pan-Africanism was just at an all-time high. I thought that was going to happen after the 2020 stuff, but Twitter feel like a COINTELPRO product sometimes. My bad, I just went on a tangent. The diaspora war is hilarious though. Here, I think this is the Alma Thomas piece that I was talking about. Afro, abstract, futuristic. I've seen like a couple shower curtains that look like that, so I wonder if they ran her estate that check for real, I'm not gonna lie. But I just love her style. Anytime I see photographs in the museum too, I'm always impressed because the type of poses and lighting that they use in these museum images are probably some of the greatest I'll ever see. Also, like a lot of black art, still to this day, is inspired by African masks and like African motifs. You don't see the Picasso ripoff in these. It's just not the same. Yeah, I hate that, man. I could make a whole video about that, but I still gotta get a little bit more knowledge about it first. I think statues and sculptures are some of the most impressive like mediums of art. It's like upper echelon to me, to be honest. To like get the phenotype and get the form, to get everything perfect. Like, that's a lot of studying of like the human body in proportions. It's like having a hand of God, honestly. Like, you're the creator. It's kind of wild to think about and to see. They got that boy Wilfredo again. This exhibit did a good job at showcasing the whole breadth of black art. Like, I think every base is covered. Like, only thing that was missing maybe like a live band. I would drive a live band in the museum. So yeah, I'm just talking for real. But yeah, they covered all the bases. They got Margaret Burroughs. I think she founded the DuSable Museum in Chicago. And you see the African mask on the left. Yeah, they had a decent amount of abstract. Y'all know I was having a field day. It was maybe like 7 pieces, but that's a lot. They had the Norman Lewis. I know y'all see it in the cut, but this one in there was probably in my top 3 of the whole museum trip. Like, the way that the light was hitting this, it was shining and it was glistening for real. And it was like low-key bothering my eyes. I feel like, good art, it do something to your eyes for real. So I looked at it for a little bit. I think I looked at it for like 4 minutes. And I tried to make sure that the wind wasn't blowing because it was like it was shaking. The silver was doing its thing. There go that man Norman Lewis again. What do y'all see when y'all see this? Because I know what I see. I'm not going to tell y'all what I see, but if you know, you know. I'm just kidding. But nah, I look like some people in white hoods gathering under the moonlight. Real suspicious. Or is it people doing a ritual? The world may never know. And that's the beauty about abstract art. It could really be what you want it to be. And I think we need to make more art that can fill that type of space. Everything doesn't have to be deliberate as it is. Like, we need like a abstract movement on the music side, the visual side, the photography side. I mean, we already abstract in the first place, but like, I want to see more abstract paintings and like more abstract storytelling for real. They had a whole bunch of physical media, and it kind of made me sad because we used to thrive on being educated, and now it's so hard for people to get the information that they want because a lot of it is like hidden away now. They're wiping it off the internet. It's being burned. It's just disappearing. We used to take pride in being knowledgeable about everything. And I'm pretty sure like a black person walking around with any of these like pamphlets, books, records, albums, whatever, felt like the coolest person on earth, and they probably felt proud as hell to be black. The type, the fonts that they used on all this media is just like so attention grabbing. Like art and education used to be overlapped, and that was what the founding artistic fathers wanted for black art. But no, this exhibit was impressive because they covered the whole Africa. Usually when they talk about art from the diaspora, it's just West Africa, but it spanned the whole continent because they had like Tunisian artists, Egyptian artists. Those type of artists are never really considered in these type of talks. When they think of African art, they just think of masks and sculptures. They never think about paintings, anything else, just sculpture and masks. For them to cover the whole continent, shout out to them. It also makes me wonder, have they had this art in the first place? Was it locked up in a basement until now? And after this current, they're under this presidency, actually. Where is all the art gonna go again? Because they wiping it. Is it gonna just go locked up in the basements again? Are these like the last of the shows that we seeing? And this is like why I go out and try to seek these exhibits and seek these shows, because we're gonna have to get underground again soon. Like, it's not often you just get to see stuff like this, and I was just taking it in. Like, I have to go see this exhibit again for real without my phone. I didn't really get that much time to sit in there because, you know, I had the show later on. But this wall right here, man, oh man, I'm gonna just let y'all look. I ain't even gonna say nothing. Like real life seeing historical black art that you only see in books, seeing it in real life. When I see classic sculptures made by black artists like before the 80s, can you imagine how good it must have felt to see an accurate representation of your people that wasn't like a minstrel show or a stereotype, like no big red lips or like bulging eyes? Benny Andrews' work has always felt like the opposite of Ernie Barnes' work to me. Like Ernie Barnes had like a lot of fluid motion, and Benny Andrews' art is like very straightforward and like very angular, kind of stick figure almost. For some reason, this part of the exhibit felt like an altar. It felt like all the ancestors was telling me that, you know, art is the right journey, especially seeing this on the day of the show. It was like, you know, keep going, Paja. You got it. Like, do what you gotta do. Do what you gotta do, and all your dreams will come true for real. And I'm gonna end it like this. Go support that show. Go support that local gallery. Paint in that sketchbook. Sketch on that notepad. Tear up that canvas. Chalk up the sidewalk. Just do something. Get active on your creativity. Play that song. Make that mix. Cut that record. Do whatever. Just get that creativity out there. Shout out to the Tangerine Gallery. Shout out to the Black Yuppie Collective for giving me the opportunity to showcase my work tonight. And I'm super excited. I'm probably the most excited about being able to see my loved ones see the accumulation of work that I've been doing this past 5 years. So I can't wait. And if you got the time, go see this exhibit at the Art Institute in Chicago, or just go see any exhibit that's promoting culture in your hometown. Just go see it, because I know it's kind of harder for people in smaller towns to see shows like this, but they got the online gallery. Just participate. Go to the workshop, go to the talk, just do something. And I hope you have fun while you're doing it. And I'll see y'all soon. Thank y'all for tuning in once again.